So, when people find out that Amy and I traveled the world for 2 full years, the very first question that comes to their mind is, well, how? Do you have a trust fund or what'd you do? Now, in order for me to share the how, let me go back just a little bit and explain the why. So, I was 48 years old. Our youngest son had just graduated high school. We have 4 boys. And my mom had been diagnosed about a year and a half earlier with breast cancer. She had been fighting it, had gone through a couple rounds of chemo, and we found out that it had metastasized. And in late 2016, we lost my mom. She lost her battle to breast cancer. My mom was only 63 years old, and that's pretty young. We were on a track like most people, living in America. You work for 40 hours for 40 years of your life. You give the best years and hours of your life to somebody else's dream in hopes that you reach 65 and you're healthy enough to go and live your dreams. Well, my mom never made it. And that was an eye-opener for me, because I was like, that's not for me. That is absolutely not for me. So Amy and I started to think, how can we live our lives just a little bit different? Now, my wife at this time, Amy, she was commuting. She was consulting for a campground, believe it or not, that was 2 hours away. And 3 times a week, she would commute. First thing over in the morning, 2 hours one way. She would work there 8 to 10 hours, then commute back. So she started listening to a lot of audiobooks. And one of the audiobooks she listened to was The 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss. And this book literally changed her life. She listened to it and came home and she's like, oh my gosh, Roger, you have to listen to this book. You have to read it, you have to listen to it. And so I listened to it, and basically the synopsis of it is there was a giant paradigm shift that happened in our brains. We started to think about how far the American dollar can work in other countries. And so we started to literally try to figure out how to hack our finances, right? And we came down to this conclusion that if we were earning American dollars and we were living somewhere like Vietnam or in Southeast Asia, our dollars would go way farther. And so we started looking at other countries and what it would actually take. And what we came to realize was that it was only going to cost us about $2,000 a month to travel indefinitely. Now, there are countries that are less expensive than $2,000 a month, and of course there are countries that are way more expensive than $2,000 a month, and we found that, but we found the average to be right about $2,000. And so we looked at each other and we're like, I think we can do this. What if there was a way for us to earn money remotely in American dollars and then travel and be in these other places, and our purchasing power of the American dollar goes 10 times farther. So that's just what we did. So Amy learned how to teach English as a second language. She did it online, started teaching English to Chinese students over in China. And I went to work in the marketing field. I help people do lead generation and sales funnels and a bunch of things like this. And we started to make money online. Now, this was back before COVID made it cool, and everybody knows what we're talking about now. But then they were like, what, you're going to do what? You guys are going to go to China? Amy's going to teach kids? They didn't get it. But that's how we were able to do it, because we just hacked our finances to make things go a lot farther. Now, I'll give you an example. So we went to Vietnam. So in 2018, in February of 2018, we left. We had sold literally everything that we owned. Almost everything. We boiled our life down to there were 3 boxes of things that are the most precious things in the world to us. Memories, keepsakes, things, the things in your house that you want to grab when the fire's there, and you want to make sure that you get them because they're absolutely priceless and irreplaceable. So we boiled our life down to those 3 boxes, and everything else we put into backpacks on our back, and we walked out of a house that we were renting, and we went and slept in the garage of one of our kids' houses for 3 days until we left on a one-way ticket to Vietnam. Now, when we got to Vietnam, our youngest son had traveled with us there. He was 20 years old at the time, actually turned 21 in Australia, very fun story. But he was the youngest, and he was still at home, and we gave him the choice to come. And Amy and I still think to this day that his 3 older brothers got together with him and said, hey, they drew straws and said, hey, you're the youngest, you're going with mom and dad because we don't want them to end up in a bathtub with a missing kidney, right? So he got to come with us, and he's traveled with us for almost a full year, and it was so amazing to have our son with us during that time. But for the first 3 months, we went to Vietnam. Now, we were in Vietnam for 3 months because they had a 3-month visa, And it was very easy for us to, we were decided we would land in a city, and then we would go to another city, and we would figure out how to get transportation, how to communicate, where to stay, where the markets were, all that. And then once we got comfortable in an area, we just moved to a new city and we would do it all again. And we decided to do it in the safety of one country with a visa because it was safe and it was easy. And then we could graduate, we'd go to a new country, right? So there was that. But for the 3 months that we were in Vietnam, my wife, my 20-year-old son, and myself, we spent less than $5,000. $5,000 for 3 months, and we did everything. We did the tourist stuff, we stayed in nice places, we stayed in some hostels, we traveled all over the country for 3 months, and we spent $5,000. Now, to give you guys some basis, now some of you guys are probably doing the math, right? Like $5,000, holy cats, right? Well, so when we lived in Washington State, in Marysville, Washington, our monthly budget for our house, with our son, our utilities, you think about insurance, you think about cars, you think about gas, all the things that you have that we didn't have anymore because we just had 2 backpacks. That's it. That budget to live in Seattle, Washington in 2018 was almost $7,000 a month. And we just lived for 3 months on 3/4 of that. So that's the power of hacking your finances and earning an American dollar abroad. And that's how we were able to travel indefinitely for almost 2 years.